Hello, welcome to another, is this Burgundy with Tweedy Burgundy? Cote de Tweed, I don't know, I'm not quite sure what the best channel name is yet, but this is the new rebranded Wine with Tweedy that will now 100% be about Burgundy. Today, more Bourgogne Hautes Cotes de Nuits. This is another wine from Lay and Wheeler. This producer is completely new to me, Nicole Lamarche. I don't think I've had any wine from them before, and it's a 2020 vintage, which I'm a little bit skeptical. I would have snapped this up had it been anything earlier than 2020. 2020s for me so far have been a little bit hit or miss whether they're ready or not. It's like a slightly composite cork, maybe, is that? No, perhaps not, perhaps just a... Okay, just very slightly different from usual cork material, but I mean it is cork, but it's just a sort of slightly smoother grain of cork. Who cares? Wonderfully gloomy Saturday afternoon here on the heath. Relatively quiet. So I would say I'm getting berry fruit on the nose, but not actually obviously cherry. It's hard to pin down exactly what kind of berry, but it's probably something in the kind of strawberry, raspberry sort of area, which is unusual actually. There may be a tiny backdrop of slightly more sort of Kirschy kind of cherry, but so the red berry fruit character there is very fresh, and there's some sort of slightly more boozy fruit sort of character, you know, something like a Kirschy sort of maraschino-y kind of, that kind of cherry smell. And there's a good amount of sous bois. It's always, it's not just because I'm sitting on the floor of the woods. There's a sort of mushroomy, rotting leaves, earthy sort of note to that. Red berries, sous bois. Yeah, it's quite bright, quite fresh on the palate. Really quite different from typical Cote de Nuits Burgundies that I'm used to. I don't know if this is partly down to the elevation, the altitude of the Haute Cote de Nuits. It's sort of lighter, fresher, and that fruit character is sort of daintier. Like I say, things like strawberries, red berries rather than cherries. But then with a bit of underlying mushroomy, earthy sort of funk. Not funk in a bad way, but you know, funk in a characterful way. Something a tiny bit floral in amongst that, and strange though it sounds, I can sort of detect that more on the palate rather than on the nose. Quite a nice mouthfeel, again quite unusual. It's sort of light rather than kind of dense and concentrated, and then there is a sort of tannic tingle towards the end. Yeah, definitely some wood influence here, one way or the other. Quite different, but I like it for that sort of different style. Light is going a bit now. I'm supposed to be cooking this evening. We have friends coming around. It's quite an unusual occurrence, I have to admit. At the moment I would much rather just sit here and kind of melt into the woods as it gets dark. This is developing some interesting kind of tobacco-y, sort of licoricey kind of notes, especially with extended swilling. That sounds horrible. Extended swilling on the palate. Yeah, it's really unusual actually. Quite different from anything else I've ever had before from the Bourgogne Hautes Cotes de Nuits, or just Cote de Nuits in general really. But as a one-off, I'm very much enjoying that. It might not be the wine in my mind's eye I would ideally like to be drinking from the Haute Cote de Nuits, but certainly as a bit of a break from the norm, that is very interesting.